is up here in Canada. Well, hello, Canada. It's your Uncle Clark. And on today's episode, we have the Canadian queen of home renos, Rebekah Higgs, otherwise known as DIY Mom. That's right. Now, Rebekah has always been a natural-born entertainer with her acting, her music, her most recently, her home makeover series on the internet and TV, DIY Mom, where she renos fixer-upper houses with her daughter Lennon in her hometown of Halifax, Nova Scotia. Now, currently in the middle of filming the 4th season, Rebekah was kind enough to take 35 minutes between shoots to chat with me about how she became DIY Mom, her incredible music career, which includes one of my all-time favorite albums, her brief stint as a contestant on a televised Canadian version of Survivor, and a whole lot more, so don't go anywhere. Up next is the 9th episode of Up Here in Canada, and I could not be more excited. Yeah, up here in Canada, the podcast. This episode of Up Here in Canada is brought to you by CapturedByCassidy.ca. Now, if you live in the greater Calgary area and you're looking for a great photographer at a very reasonable price, look no further than Captured by Cassidy. With a list of satisfied customers a mile long, Captured by Cassidy offers stunning photography for all your photography needs. Graduation, engagement, wedding, maternity, baby, family, divorce, interior design. The options are endless, but your search for the right photographer doesn't have to be. Go to CapturedByCassidy.ca now and book a consultation with Southern Alberta's most sought-after photographer who happens to look exactly like Katy Perry. And now, here's your host, Clark W. Hey, Rebekah, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Great. Okay, Clark. Hold on. Okay, he's calling. Hold on. Hello.
Hey there, Jordan. It's Clark.
Hey, Clark.
Yeah, I'm up here doing that photo. Well, I was supposed to be done this photo shoot about 4 days ago, but know how they say the camera adds 10 pounds?
Yes.
Yeah, these cameras have been adding about 20 or 30 pounds to my face in every picture. I don't know what's going on, but it might be the lens or the lights or the camera. Anyway, they're trying to find better equipment. We may have to use different models for the actual pictures for the ones for my Up Here in Canada shirts and hoodies and sweaters and toques and all that stuff.
Oh, right, on your website.
Yeah, so we're going to try and find better equipment that captures a more accurate facial picture of myself without the extra 20, 30 pounds.
Okay.
But if we can't do it by the end of the day, we're just going to use different models. So you got, is Rebekah there?
Yeah.
Hey, Clark.
Rebekah, I'm so sorry, but, photo shoots, you've done many yourself. Sometimes things go wrong with the equipment, and I'm sorry, but I'm not going to make the podcast today.
That's okay. That's okay.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. So you guys, do what you do. Jordan, you're good to take over?
Yeah, absolutely. You bet.
Okay. All right. Well, Godspeed to the... Hey, they're calling me. Hey, they found a camera.
Oh, good.
All right. Wish me luck, and I can't wait to hear it. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye. Bye, Clark. All right. Clark's stuck at a photo shoot for his Up Here in Canada stuff.
Yeah.
Rebekah, it's just me and you today.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine, yeah.
Okay, so we know each other from high school, but you have since then gone on to do some pretty cool things. So can you just say who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Sure. Well, my name is Rebekah Higgs, and I'm DIY Mom, and I live in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
And we know each other from which high school?
From Caronport. You're going to have to remind me, though, of the high school days, because it's such a vague memory in my mind now. It's been 20 years since I was in high school.
Right? That feels so weird when you say that, but I remember you're always performing. I think you were singing, but I remember you doing theater and everything. You did that back in high school, right?
Oh yeah, I was totally one of those kids. And my favorite memory of Caronport was pottery with Mr. Ginter.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I sucked at pottery. Were you actually pretty decent at it?
I would say I was in the in the realm of exceptional at pottery.
Oh, wow.
I actually paid for the extra $5 clay so that I could go after school and make more pottery. And we were supposed to make 10 pieces by Christmas, and I made 75 pieces by Christmas. Everybody in my family got. Oh yeah, Christmas gifts. Everybody got a full set of mugs.
Wow. Okay, so you are a DIY mom. We'll get into that pretty quick here, but
sure.
I would like to chat about what your life was like leading up to where it is now. So I knew of you. We weren't good friends in high school. I think what year did you graduate?
2000.
2000. Okay, yeah, you were a year ahead of me. And you were, I think it was either during high school or shortly after, word got around that you were on TV for something. What was that? What was that for?
That is like a super vague memory too. Like I think I actually kind of blocked out some of the stuff that was horrible in my life, and that was one of those horrible experiences. I was on this show. I was on this show called Drifter: The Water Wars, and I don't even know if there's any way that you would ever be able to see the footage or of the show. But it was basically like the year that Survivor came out was 2000. Like that was the very first season of Survivor. And Canada decided to make a Canadian version of it called Drifters: The Water Wars. And it was like a totally non-fancy version of Survivor where we were on these houseboats through the Trent Severn in Ontario for, 28 days or something. And we had to do these daily challenges. And everybody, it was a group of 6 people, and you had to as a group, you had to win all these things to get puzzle pieces for the final hunt for this pot of gold. And if your team won, then you each got like $10,000. And everybody on my team was like a triathlete or a firefighter, like really intense personalities that were extremely into fitness. Like there's one girl that free climbed like Everest. Like it was crazy.
Oh, what?
So they kind of threw me in as a wrench. Like they wanted something to give the show a little bit of like something funny. Like let's watch this girl struggle to run 10 kilometers or kayak for the first time. The first time I ever kayaked, it was a 25-kilometer kayak like upwind.
That's criminal. That's awful.
It was terrible. Man. Yeah.
Wow.
It put a shock through my system because I had been so sheltered and loved my whole life. And then all of a sudden I was in this extremely unaccepting, unloving environment.
Oh, man.
And it was broadcasted on TV for everybody to watch.
Yeah, you were famous in Cairnport for a long time, and I think you still are.
So funny.
It seems
I'm so glad that that's not going to be the thing I'm remembered for.
Well, it's been really fun seeing you, branch into what you're doing now. But I really sort of like latched onto your music career. I mean, are you still doing music at all, or is that something that you consider like a good part of your past, or what are you doing musically now?
Well, I'm not doing musically professionally, but although every once in a while I get like a SOCAN check in the mail, and I'm like, I'm still a musician.
There you go.
But music will always be a part of my life. I'm a creator through and through. I just like to make stuff, like whether it's pottery or TV shows or music. I always want to be creative and keep creating and keep transitioning and transforming. And so I think like after I did that Drifters: The Water Wars TV show, it spun me into like a deep depression where only music could save me.
Oh, okay.
So I started to write, depressing songs.
And that's where the best music comes from. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to feel the full spectrum of the weight of the world to experience be a good writer. And so I started to write songs, and then by the time I graduated from university, I had recorded like this kind of crappy little acoustic album, which I like told my dad to take the box of CDs in our basement and bury them in the yard. I was like, do not give those out to anybody. I did a cover of like What If God Was One of Us.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Joan Osborne.
There you go.
There was a bunch of original songs on there. They were very, I don't know, like teen depression. I can't even describe like Alanis Morissette, but not good.
But you're set, because what was your album after that? I think that's the one I fell in love with.
Yeah. So then what I would call my debut album was just Rebekah Higgs. There was no title to the album. And
it's so good.
Thank you very much. I went to Toronto to record it with this guy that I sort of met in a chance encounter at Acadia, where I went to university. And he was one of the writers and producers of the band Joy Drop. Joy Drop had like a one-hit wonder. It was like, My Eyes Are Dry and I. It was like one big song that they had in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
And I met him, and he was like a really gentle soul. And I went to Ontario, and I stayed with a friend's family for like 2 weeks or something, and recorded this album with him. I think I recorded like 8 songs. And then when the album got reissued the following year on Outside Music, we added 2 more songs to it. So it was a 10 album 10-song album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you did Ruby Jean and the Thoughtful Bees. Is that what it was?
Yeah, well, yeah, so I guess I was touring and having a great time with my band and playing music and just, like, I don't know if you're familiar with Enneagrams or personality types, but just like, I'm such a 4, so like the 4 in me like didn't want anybody to say that I was a certain way or I only made music that was like that album. So then I was like, well, I'm just going to show people that I'll throw a wrench in what they thought I was, and I'll do this Ruby Jean thing. And so the Ruby Jean record kind of was just like an organic thing that happened with a friend of mine who had recorded a bunch of beats on his own.
Oh, okay.
I came over and like we were drinking, and then I just started like recording like vocals and then layering them upon layering them. And
No way.
I've always loved using my voice as an instrument and like playing with layering vocals. And there was a lot of layering of vocals on my first album, but I wanted to take it to another level. So with Ruby Jean, I just like put my voice through a ton of pedals and guitar pedals and different things, and I would do it live on stage with the band, and it was really fun. But we were like a crazy party band and played at like all the big outdoor music festivals across Canada, opened for Cyndi Lauper in Queen's Park, Toronto to 60,000 people. It was super cool for Pride, Pride 2010, I want to say. And it was, it was a really fun moment, but it's not something that I could ever sustain or would want to. Like, it just like wore me out.
Yeah. So you transitioned out of music into what?
Yeah. So, I did another record after that. I did another record called Odd Fellowship. Recorded that with the producer of like Modest Mouse.
Is that the one with the girl with the sweater?
Yeah.
Oh,
The album cover. Yeah, it's called Odd Fellowship. I recorded it in like this little studio in Nova Scotia on the coast, and we brought Brian Deck in from I feel like Chicago or something like that. He came and stayed with us in this place, and we made this album.
Wow.
That one was on a EMI label called Hidden Pony, and then I moved to Toronto to kind of be closer to the music scene and like more central in Canada to tour. But Toronto just kind of like took the life out of like the music for me. It became such a slog.
Yeah.
And then I got pregnant. And so I had my baby in Toronto. My daughter was born. And after 8 months of being in Toronto with a baby and no family and no support, I was like, it's time for me to move back to Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
And I wanted to transition out of music into something that would be more sustainable, and I wouldn't have to travel. I'd be home.
Right.
So, it was like perfect timing, and I'd made the move right at the right time. I came back to Nova Scotia. People are so excited to like teach me about the film industry, and I had this opportunity, and I started working for Egg Films, and that transitioned into like my own production company called Matriarch Productions, which we do our own like social media content and videos, but now we mainly just focus on DIY mom because that's a full-time job.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah. So sorry, that was like a really long run-on sentence. I think you asked me one question, and then it's like 2 hours later.
No, that was great. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces on social media of kind of some highlights of your life, and it's nice to know kind of the thread that connects all that together. So DIY mom, is that something that you had an idea for and you said, okay, I'm going to pursue this, or did it kind of happen organically, and then how did it come together?
Yeah. So when I was working at Egg, I was doing 30-second commercials for like big brands. And it got me thinking about life outside of the 30-second commercial, like what's going to be the next big move in marketing. And at that time, branded content was something that was sort of like on the periphery, but it wasn't like common knowledge. Like now we call it influencer marketing. Everybody's an influencer, and like we know that as a way of how you market to people. But at the time, it was like branded content was going to be the next wave. And so I was like, okay, what can my branded content be?
Right.
And I was like, I've always loved to fix things up and make my houses beautiful, like with very little money. I had a little baby at home. And, when I was in university, they called me the Trailer Park Martha Stewart. So it was like, I was like, how can I bring this all together and, be creative, make things beautiful. So I started to just do these little tutorial videos, like how to tile, how to do like a herringbone tile, hanging a barn door, how to wallpaper the fast way, just like all these little videos that I would film, like on my phone and then edit them in iMovie. And as I got more knowledge behind editing and how to edit well, how to film better, and a team behind me, it just sort of grew from there.
Okay.
Yeah. So right away, I just kind of called it DIY Mom. And, because like coming out of the music scene, everything was like sort of like this term that people use, like, oh, you guys are so DIY, It was like, but nobody knew what DIY was. At first, like everybody's always like, are you DUI mom? Like, what's your, like, they don't know what I know. I'm like, no, do it yourself, DIY.
Yeah. Don't want to get those two confused.
No. Sometimes after 5 o'clock, but we don't.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get into that later. So, the projects that you've done under the banner of DIY Mom that I'm aware of are your incredibly beautiful house. Is it still for sale? Because I would like to buy it. No?
Well, I'd like you guys to buy it too. No, it sold. So I really only had one window, like one weekend where I could like list my house and sell it. So I made a plan with my brother and sister who are real estate agents to list it on a Thursday, take showings like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then take offers on Monday. And because the market in Halifax is crazy right now, Halifax has never been a place where you could like say put your bids on in a certain day. Yeah. But with the COVID situation, everybody wants to move back to the East Coast. So the market's been crazy, and you can't travel, so people are spending money on their houses.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I listed my house on a Thursday, and on Monday I had multiple offers, like over asking, and and that was it. Deal done.
Oh, that's incredible. So, what was your absolute? If you had to pick one room in that house that you could live the rest of your life in, which room would you choose?
I love the kitchen and living room space because it's got the rustic joist beams that you see all over the ceiling. Yeah. And that was just like a lucky find when I wanted to get rid of the stucco ceilings, and we ripped out the ceilings to redo them. And the beams were under there, and everybody that came in to work on the house were like, oh my gosh, those are incredible. You don't see houses built like that anymore. You can't cover them back up. So I made it work with the design, and it's definitely like just like a showstopper, and it kind of encompasses like my design theories and my like the things that I love about design. So that would probably be my room.
I've seen you make some posts where you feature a certain product from a certain store. Is that something that you intentionally, I mean, obviously pursue partnerships with brands and everything? Do you just walk in and say, this is what I'm doing, I'd love to feature your product? Like, how does that work?
Well, when I first started, I would literally like go into the hardware store and be like, can you give me materials to build this thing and I'll make a video about it? And they'd say, okay, sure. And they'd give me the materials. And then as I got better at it, I was like, can you give me the materials and some money and I'll make a video for you? And then, when I got into actually doing a full renovation, there's certain things that people will give you deals on. There's certain things that people don't want to give a deal on. And then when I started in this whole business, selling people on the whole branded content idea was a new thing. So I sort of had to like pave my own way of how to do it. But now with social media and Instagram, it's just like most people understand exactly what you say when you mean like you want to do a collaboration. And I'll show your product I'll do a post for you. But when I incorporate it into my TV show and the other facets of what I do as DIY Mom, it kind of just like sweetens the deal. So I can have more to offer to those brands. Oh,
that's so cool. Okay. So speaking of your TV show, it was this online thing that you were doing. And then now I saw you, it was on, was it Bell or Shaw or something like that? Like it's on TV now. So can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. So when I first bought this house, I thought, I said, let's just film what we do as we progress, and I'll make a little web series, and I might be able to get a few free things out of it. So we filmed it, and we put it up on YouTube as the Welcome Home Project. So there's like 6 episodes of us like gutting the house and getting it basically until there was a kitchen in the house. Then I moved in, and right around that time, before I got the Bell deal, I was asked to be a co-host on the show called Eyes for the Job, and I was a partner like in carpentry projects with a blind carpenter.
Oh wow!
So it was for AMI, for Assisted Media Inc.
Okay.
So everything had to be like they wanted to do this show that was like it was like a home reno show, but that you're describing it for the visually impaired as you do the projects. So I did 1 season with them, and they were like, it was produced by somebody else. All the creative decisions were made by somebody else. They didn't really want any of my creative input. They just wanted me to say the lines that they fed me. And to me, I was like, this is not really fulfilling my creative itch. So luckily at that time, Bell came to me and asked me, would you like to do your own Bell TV show, DIY Mom?
Yeah.
For Access TV. So basically every network in Canada has to put so much money back into Canadian content.
Right.
So the big networks have to, like out here we have Eastlink and we have Bell, but like maybe you guys have Rogers or whatever. So Rogers would have like these Access TV shows like Bell has, where it's their money that they put back into local Canadian content to help people develop and, a skill or get in, stepping stones into being in the film and TV industry. So at that time they had all these shows. They asked me to be one. And then pretty soon after that, they cut all their Access TV programs and just started doing live tapings and live shows, except for they wanted to do DIY Mom again. So I was like, so I went from being like one of many in Atlantic, Canada to being the only Access TV show in Atlantic, Canada.
Wow.
But now it's all changing again. So they're doing a ton of Access shows once again because of COVID-19. There's no live things to record.
Right.
And shows. So, so the day that I signed the deal for season 4 of DIY Mom, I put an offer in on a new house. I decided to list my house, and it all kind of just came together, just perfect timing. And we were okay. No break, guys. Let's start the next season.
That's incredible. So what you're working on now for DIY Mom is this new house that you've bought?
Yeah. So I bought a 1950s style bungalow in Old Rockingham, which is the neighborhood my mom grew up in and where my grandparents lived for like 40 years. So I already had like these good vibes of being in that neighborhood. And then I found this house. I like to find these houses that are on the market for a while that nobody wants, and then I give a low ball offer. So I ended up getting this house, and for significantly less than what they wanted. And then I make a TV show about how I fix it up.
Oh, that is so cool. This has been so fun to watch you do this whole thing. So how do you set your goals, and how do you stay motivated to hit those goals?
Well, I have a big chalkboard in my kitchen that I write things on. I make a big list. I also made the decision to start hiring people to work with me to grow my brand because I knew I couldn't do it all on my own.
Yes.
So I have an awesome team of other girls that work with me. I really like working with and motivating and mentoring, other women in their 20s. My 20s were hard for me, and it took me a while to find my creative flow. But now that I'm, 38 and I've made a lot of bad choices and I've burnt a lot of bridges, I can show people how not to do those things. Yeah. And I pray about things a lot. Making decisions, being guided by my intuition, being guided by God's timing, and it seems to always work out that what I thought maybe would be the next thing maybe isn't it, and then all of a sudden I'm surprised by a whole new opportunity coming and landing on my lap. So flexibility, and then also just consistency and drive. I really do check things off my checklist. I'm not a procrastinator. I take ADHD medication. I do all these things that has really helped me to thrive in this particular role in my life. And I try to be really gentle with myself in ways like it's one of the hardest things to do is to listen to your own voice on recording or watch yourself on camera. And I've had to sit through hours and hours, thousands of hours of watching footage of me. Yeah. And it's given me like a tender spot in my like for myself and for my appearance, and just like not being too harsh on myself about the way I look.
That is a beautiful perspective, and I think a very healthy place to land, especially in the line of work that you are in. I know I only have you for a couple more minutes, so I'm just going to do some rapid fire non-DIY mom questions.
Sure.
Okay, so if you could own any object in the world, what would it be?
I really want an Airstream.
Oh, like a jet?
No, like one of those trailers that you tow.
I'm thinking
like
Gulfstream.
Old.
Yeah.
No, like an Airstream. I really want to find an Airstream.
So do you want an old one that you would fix up, or do you want one of the brand new ones?
I think I'd want an old one that I'd fix up, but then I would definitely take a brand new one and not have to do any work and just have a vacation.
No kidding. Okay, all right. Favorite meal?
Swiss chalet.
Yes! Wow. Soulmates. Swiss chalet. What do you order from Swiss chalet?
Quarter chicken.
There you go.
Quarter chicken dinner. And well, you know what? I figured out the trick being a mom is that my daughter gets the quarter chicken on the kids menu. It's the same size as the adult one with fries. And then I get a salad and then we split it. She's never going to eat that whole
that's
white
amazing.
meat dinner.
When my wife and I were newly married and poor, we would go to Swiss chalet and split the quarter chicken dinner for like, I think it was like $11 or something. And we'd get waters and Swiss chalet. Yeah. God bless them.
My parents used to take us to Swiss chalet after church every Sunday, and they would feed the whole family for $18. So it's like, it runs in the blood. The gravy runs in the blood. The dipping
really
sauce.
Does. It really does.
I'm all about the rib sauce too. I like the rib sauce and the dipping sauce.
Oh, I'm going to have to try the rib sauce next time. I only ever do the dipping chicken sauce. So
they don't tell you about it.
Okay, if you had to narrow down your top 3 favorite bands, who would they be?
Top 3 favorite bands. Okay, well, the Beatles, because I named my daughter Lennon.
Okay, yep.
Feist, because she's probably one of the reasons like I got into music. Well,
okay,
like, and Joni Mitchell.
Joni Mitchell. Wow. Okay. Those are 3 great choices. Okay. What about your favorite place in the world you've ever been to?
St. Petersburg, Russia.
Oh, wow. Is that like the one with the crazy spiral candy top buildings? Like the Kremlin Square?
Well, that's Moscow, but St. Petersburg is like old Russia. It used to be the capital during the Romanov era and Catherine the Great and stuff like that. Yeah. And it was modeled after Venice, Italy, with like underwater, with like a canal system.
Really?
And then like Peter the Great built a mini, like his own palace that was completely modeled after Versailles in France.
Oh, wow.
So, and then of course you can't it's like not a country that you can just go to. So we did a really cool trip for my parents' 40th anniversary, and that was one of the stops. And my sister hated it because she said it was just like way too dark. The history was too dark for her, but I was like super interested in everything that the tour guide was telling us.
Awesome. Wow. Okay. St. Petersburg. All right. Favorite. Describe your ideal weekend.
I love a Nordic spa experience. I like to do the hot and then the cold plunge. Like a health spa thing.
Yes.
Where they're like making me drink like juice, like do a juice cleanse, but I also don't have to move, like somebody else is doing the juices for me. Right. And then I just do pool plunges and spas, and I don't have to talk to anybody for the whole weekend. That would be a good weekend.
That is solid. Okay.
I'm like one of those secret introverts. I get excited about not having to socialize. I'm like,
isn't that wonderful when you can cancel plans and just be by yourself?
It doesn't happen that much when you're a parent.
No, it doesn't. Favorite movie of all time. Favorite movie.
It's so hard. Maybe like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, like something that's like romantic but also artsy.
I would have thrown that out there as like probably one of your top 5s if I had to guess.
It's got to have like a romantic spin, but also some comedy and a creative story plot, and then really good cinematography. Yeah. Like, I'm not a horror movie person. Like, I don't like scary movies, but I did watch Midsummer, and it was like one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen.
Oh, I have not seen that one. Is it just called Midsummer?
Yeah, Sommar.
Oh, okay.
It's scary AF.
So watch it during the day on my phone and not at night on the TV. Okay.
But it is beautiful. Or just screenshot, just screenshot like the art direction and don't watch the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. What about a favorite movie soundtrack?
Is it creepy to say Schindler's List? Or like A Beautiful Life? Like, those movies really remind me of when I played the violin as a kid, like learning how to play the violin to the movie. Is that
something
songs?
that like every East Coast child does when they grow up? They need to learn to play the fiddle violin. Is that
yes? It's mandatory. You come out of the womb and they hand you a fiddle.
They hand you a fiddle. Yeah.
No, I actually learned the violin because they offered it in school starting in grade 3 or 4. I think grade 3 they start violin, and grade 4 you could start cello if you wanted to.
Oh, okay.
But my grandfather was a master violinist, and when we went to England as children, he was like showing my mom stuff that was in the attic that he hadn't touched in many, many years. And there was a violin that hadn't been played or touched in, probably like 30 or 40 years. So my parents took it back to Canada, had it refurbished for me, and gave me my grandfather's violin. And being the only kid in our family that was really, loved music and pursued music, I had to keep the family tradition of playing the violin alive.
Absolutely. That's, I'm amazed at, I think like really good fiddle players to me are inhuman, their ability to.
Well, my grandfather was a classical violinist, and I was a classical violinist. I think he would die to think I would be a fiddle player.
Oh, okay. Well, I take that back. Fiddle players have no place in the musical scene, just classical violinists.
Yeah, him and his British cup of tea would be like, what? What?
Okay, what is the last piece of art that left an impression on you? And that can be painting, book, movie, music, anything.
Well, I can't, like, I'm at a loss for the name of the artist and stuff right now, but one of the East Coast artists that always leaves an impression on me is Maude Lewis. Because my daughter loves going to the Nova Scotia Art Gallery and looking at her house that she painted. Oh, okay. And she painted do you know about Maude Lewis?
No, I don't, no.
Oh, well, her paintings are worth like a ton of money, and they're very simple. She was crippled and arthritic hands, and she painted very simply. And she lived in a tiny little shack with her husband, and she painted every surface of that little house in the way that she saw the world. She had a very dark, sad life. There's a movie called Maude, actually, with Ethan Hawke in it. You can watch that too.
Oh, okay.
And she painted everything with vibrant colors and every single surface. And they actually went, after she passed away, they went and took that little house and put it in the art gallery in Nova Scotia.
No way. Yeah.
And to look at her paintings, you'd be like, what's so special about those? Like, they look like a kid did them. But they're actually extremely difficult to replicate. It's almost impossible to replicate her style of painting. Wow. And the way that she saw the world so simply and so clearly, it's really touching and really beautiful. And I highly recommend you do some research on Maude Lewis.
Maude Lewis. Yeah, I'm going to.
The kids will love it.
It is 10:30. How many more minutes can I steal from you?
Yeah, 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. Okay. All right. If you had to be stuck in a previous decade forever, which one would you be stuck in?
I think like the 1950s, which is kind of apt to the fact that I'm doing a 1950s bungalow, because I always felt like Twiggy ruined my life. So I'd like to be pre-Twiggy.
I think I would be stuck in the 50s too. I have this old 50s TV console, that I set up Netflix and my laptop to play through on this old black and white tube TV, and it's my favorite thing. And if my house is burning down, I'd abandon my wife and kids and just go and get that TV console because I love it so much. So
I remember I loved Marilyn Monroe when I was in like my early university years, and to this day, my mom still thinks like that I'm obsessed with Marilyn Monroe. So she's always like buying me the Marilyn Monroe calendar. Oh, I saw this mug, Rebecca, and I got it for you. It's got Marilyn Monroe. I'm like, okay, Mom, that was when I was 21, but
that was a phase. But thank you anyway. Okay, what do you love the most about Halifax?
Well, the reason I came back to Halifax is because it's affordable and you have like a amazing life in Nova Scotia for less of the price. Also, during COVID, I've really appreciate being in Nova Scotia because there's so much to do. Access to the water, beautiful scenic drives to be had, and I think that's why everybody wants to come back to Nova Scotia. I went on a fisherman picked me up one day when I was in Digby visiting a friend, took me out on his fishing boat, and because I was like, don't you guys fish for scallops down here in Digby? And they're like, yeah, you want to go fish for scallops? No problem. And he took me on their fishing boat, and they dropped like this thing over the edge of the boat, dragged it along the shore, pulled it up, and we had 33 scallops. And then he dropped it down and dragged it back the other side, and then we had 24 more scallops. And he showed me how to shuck them and how to eat them raw and how to prepare them, and it was just like so fun. I'm like, where else in the world can you just get on a fishing boat with a stranger and get scallops?
That's incredible. The East Coast is very much a part of my heart. Okay, if you could have any famous Canadian over for dinner, who would it be?
Ryan Gosling.
Of course. Of course. So would my wife. Because you think he'd be a great conversationalist, because he might have his shirt off. Why would you have him?
I know that's the person I came to mind, but maybe it wouldn't be Ryan Gosling. I would like to show him how good I can cook.
There you go.
I would like him to enjoy a meal. Oh, Melissa, can you take the dog outside before she pees on a pillow? Oh no, she's gonna pee on the couch. Don't pee on the couch, Ziggy. Don't. We just got a puppy. Okay,
oh no.
Sorry. I just got a puppy, and she's really good at house training, but for some reason she pees on pillows.
On pillows?
Yeah, she did it earlier today. I just don't want it to be a repeat thing. A Boston Terrier.
A Boston? What color?
She's brown and white. She's like a red Boston. Yeah.
So
I'm like a dog whisperer, but only to little dogs. I'm kind of scared of big dogs.
Little dog. Yeah, big dogs are terrifying.
I'm a little dog whisperer.
Okay, I have 1 minute left with you, so we'll leave it at Ryan Gosling, and we'll move on to the next one. If you could go anywhere in the world for 24 hours, where would you go? What would you take? Who would you take with you, and what would you do? Anywhere in the world for a day, who would you take with you, and what would you do?
What's a toss-up between like a nice place or like a scary place? And then the length of the flight. Like, does this mean there's no flight taken into consideration?
Flights aren't included. So you land where you want to be, and you're there for 24 hours.
Okay, but then it's like I'm not exhausted when.
No, you're fully energized. Yeah.
Okay, I can like teleport and be totally refreshed. Okay.
Absolutely.
I think I would like to go to Vietnam or Cambodia.
Wow.
With my daughter
okay.
for an experience. I want to take my daughter to interesting places and not like resorts.
Yeah.
You know, when we were kids, we did mission trips for our family vacations. So I think I'm like might keep the trend up.
That is really cool. Okay, last question. What would you do if you had no responsibilities and unlimited resources for an entire year? What would you pursue and what would you do?
I think I would start a school for girls in a place that doesn't have schools for girls. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess I'd be like the Oprah of like do-it-yourselfers.
Yeah.
I do like a home economics school in a country for children that's for free. Or like I really would like to start a charity actually providing IUDs for women in need.
Oh, okay.
So I think if I had unlimited resources, I definitely would do something in the charity field to help out women who are single mothers but have not had the same opportunities afforded to them that I have. I'm definitely very grateful and blessed for the situation I found myself in because, a lot of people have it way worse, and I always had the support and love of my family and the grace of God to help me get through all of life's experiences. So
that is incredible.
Not everybody has that.
That is beautiful. That is by far the most selfless answer that anyone has given to that question on this podcast. Yes. People are like, yeah, castle in Scotland, and I would drink scotch all day, and things like that. So,
I'm more into like the juice cleanse thing. Yeah. But I liked the question that you had where you were like, what other job would you want to do? And I was really hoping you were going to ask me that because
what other job?
I'd want to be an investigative journalist.
Ooh, yeah, I think you'd be great at that.
I have like an unhealthy obsession with like trying to solve true crime.
Mm-hmm. Would you wear disguises to like surveil people, like that kind of investigative journalist as well?
Oh, I think I'm more like the kind that goes up and knocks on people's doors and then tries to like get them to trust you enough to open up and share their story. And then you put the pieces together, like like the Someone Knows Something podcast, like that kind of investigative journalist.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I have to let you go. Thank you so much for doing this. It was very spur of the moment, and we managed to do it. And this was a lot of fun, and I'm so glad that I know a lot more about you than I did before. So,
well, I'm so glad I got to reconnect with you, and we stayed in contact on Facebook and in that way over the years. And so I feel like I've seen all the things that you're doing, all the cool things you're doing, the love that you have for your wife and your children. I'm always I love seeing those kind of posts, and you're so funny. I always get a good laugh out of the content that you post on Facebook. So it makes me happy to see old friends from Caronport popping up.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been so lovely, and I know you have a meeting to go to, so drive safe, and thank you so much, Rebekah.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye, Jordan.
Bye.